Guns N' Roses is an American hard rock band founded in Los Angeles, California in 1985. They are responsible for ushering in an era of grim, gritty rock and roll with their wild antics, explosive stage presence, and the larger-than-life personality of Axl Rose. Guns N' Roses dominated the late 80s and early 90s. They played harder rock music which was different from the rock music that was popular in the 1980s. After changes in personnel, the band's lineup stabilized with Rose as the vocalist, McKagan on bass, Adler on drums, and Slash and Stradlin on guitar. The band rose to fame with their legendary debut album Appetite for Destruction. With a rebellious attitude, electrifying performances, and unforgettable riffs, they became synonymous with the raw energy of rock and roll. In many ways, the rise of Guns N' Roses into one of the world's biggest bands in the late 1980s represents the quintessential Hollywood success story. Some of the biggest names in rock couldn't stand them. Whether it was clashing egos, creative differences, or just straight-up disrespect, Guns N' Roses found themselves at odds with some legendary bands. Here are 3 bands that hated them the most. Metallica. In the 1990s, Metallica and Guns N' Roses launched a tour that was anticipated to be legendary, but it quickly became mired in problems, escalating an ongoing feud between the two bands. Metallica found their collaboration with them both challenging and frustrating. At the time, Guns N' Roses was on tour promoting their Use Your Illusion album. Hetfield voiced his discontent with the band's controversial reputation and unprofessional behavior, which clashed with Metallica's ethos. He remarked, "They were always late, that's why I hated them. It was difficult dealing with Axl and his attitude. It's not an experience we want to repeat." Metallica sought to deliver a more progressive and hardcore performance, standing in stark contrast to Guns N' Roses' glam rock image. Despite the large stadium setting, their performance was powerful and impressive. Eagles of death metal. Both bands are celebrated for their energetic live shows and distinct styles within rock. However, a disagreement in 2006 led to some tension between them. In an interview, Jesse Hughes described how the crowd initially showed hostility towards his band because they weren't Guns N' Roses, but eventually managed to win them over. When Axl Rose took the stage, he insulted them by calling them the pigeons of metal and dismissed them from the tour. Hughes commented, "Axl Rose is out of his mind," noting that Rose arrived about 30 minutes after their performance ended and went on a tirade. "Even though Axl attempted to rain on our parade, nothing can stop our night train. We believe in living and letting die. Faith no more." Faith No More frequently ridiculed and disparaged Guns N' Roses' lead singer, seizing every opportunity to do so in interviews and during live shows. Despite their criticisms, Faith No More agreed to join the tour but continued to deride Guns N' Roses in the media whenever possible. Having risen to fame with their third album, The Real Thing, Faith No More was a highly anticipated opening act. However, they found themselves overwhelmed in the vast stadium setting, where poor acoustics, the lack of video screens, and throngs of attendees buying snacks and merchandise hampered their performance. Although they were a talented band and delivered a solid show, they weren't suited for such a large venue. In a 1992 conversation with Select magazine, Bill Gould remarked, "While many bands may think they want to share the stage with Guns N' Roses, let me tell you, it's been a seriously unpleasant experience dealing with the chaos surrounding this circus. I've always despised that side of rock music and never wished to be a part of it, so being linked to a tour this massive is pretty frustrating."